Today I had the pleasure of hosting my colleague, and of course this is not the first time we have met. Last year I visited Germany and had the privilege of meeting with the minister to review our cooperation. We also have met on several occasions in the margins of the multilateral meetings and have continued to exchange views on issues of mutual concern. This morning we had an extensive discussion on both bilateral and multilateral issues. We have reviewed our bilateral relations. We have reaffirmed our strategic partnership. Our cooperation is deep and covers many areas. Germany is one of the leading and trading investment partners for South Africa. It is our third largest trading partner, our second largest investor, and the third largest tourism market, led by the Honorable Minister here. He loves South Africa. Germany extensively supports our national development priorities and has allocated an amount of approximately 3.4 billion rands, which is 286 million euros, to South Africa for the period 2012-2013. This includes 2.9 billion rands, or 251 million euros, to financial cooperation and technical cooperation. Our development cooperation program covers areas such as climate change and environment, renewable energy, vocational education and training, science and technology, and capacity building. Our Minister of Science and Technology has just returned to South Africa from a very successful tour to Germany to further take this partnership on science and technology forward. We have particularly taken note of the excellent cooperation between our countries in this field of science and technology, as I said earlier on. Last year, the South Africa-Germany Year of Science Partnership was launched here in South Africa. And that's what led to Minister Derek Nukom to be in Germany recently at the conclusion of this, marking the closure of this successful project. Through this collaboration, more than 40 joint research projects were undertaken by scientists from both our countries, focusing on areas such as renewable energy, health, pharmaceuticals, ICTs, amongst others. We are looking forward to the final research outputs and hopefully to the commercialization of these ventures. We have also exchanged views and perspectives this morning on the developments in our continent, in Africa, especially the situation in the east of the DRC, Mali, Somalia, Central African Republic, and the impending elections in Zimbabwe. We have applauded ongoing efforts by regional organizations, the African Union, and the United Nations in promoting and making peace on the continent. We've also applauded the decision taken by the Security Council to upgrade the AFISMA to now get the full support of the UN through the UN Security Council. We have also reviewed developments in the Middle East, and will continue to do that over lunch, and expressed concern at the deteriorating humanitarian situation and civilian casualties. We have renewed our common position for the reforms of the United Nations in order to enable it to become better in responding to current global challenges. May I take this opportunity to invite my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Guido Westerwelle, to address the media. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure to meet my very good friend, NkoanaMashabane. Once again, we had in the last years many meetings. We always used our meetings as an excellent opportunity to exchange our thoughts and to strengthen our bilateral relations. So, Excellency, dear Maite, I'm glad, and I'm more than glad, I'm happy to be back again in South Africa. It's a wonderful country, and it's for us, of course, much more than just a partner, it's a strategic partnership which brings us together. And this strategic partnership for which the Binational Commission provides an excellent framework, and we are grateful that you could make it possible to come last year together with the Vice President to Berlin. And this is, I think, an excellent approval for our healthy and very positive relations. We want to further strengthen our relations politically, but also economically. South Africa is Germany's most important political and economic partner on the continent. Last year, our trade was around 14 billion euros, and over 600 German companies provide over 90,000 jobs in South Africa. In 2012 and 2013, we also have the German South African Year of Science and Research. You just mentioned it. More than 100 projects have been implemented, building on an already close cooperation. South Africa is also an important partner for us in world politics. We followed with close attention the BRICS summit you hosted in March, the first BRICS summit ever in Africa. And I congratulate you to this successful summit here in South Africa. And I think it's an expression how the world is changing. And this shows us that there are really new heavyweights in the world, like South Africa, and we are seeking for a close cooperation with this new heavyweights. And I mean that these economic success stories brings all of us to new political opportunities, and I think this is one of our goals and one of our responsibilities. We welcome your commitment to African and regional integration. We highly appreciate the work by your former Foreign Minister, Madame Dlamini Zuma, as chair of the African Union Commission. We highly value the South African commitment to peace and security in Africa in general. For instance, the successful mediation efforts of former President Thabo Mbeki in Sudan. We pay tribute to your peacekeeping efforts. We felt deep sympathy after the tragic loss of South African soldiers in the Central African Republic. We also worked closely together in the Security Council of the United Nations, and we are looking forward to further close cooperation in international organizations. So once again, thank you so much for receiving us in South Africa. It's an excellent opportunity to deepen our relations. And what we see in South Africa is a symbol how the world is changing in global matters. We see that there are really new centers of power coming up, and they write their own success stories. And this means for us that we have to work on our international institutions, on the international representations, for example, in our work to reform the Security Council and the United Nations in New York. So once again, dear Maite, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have a business delegation which came with me to South Africa, and it's true we have been in Ghana. We will go to Mozambique, and I think it's now my fifth visit in sub-Saharan Africa, and which shows you that this is a strategic decision of the government in Germany. It's a strategic decision to seek in Africa, and especially, of course, in South Africa, for new opportunities. We think Africa is a continent of opportunities, and this is a broad approach, what we have. So, for example, we do a lot in our development programs. And I know that this is recognized and appreciated in your wonderful country. But what I think is the best and sustainable answer, it's investment. We need investments. We need trade. We need exchange. And it's in our mutual interest to establish partnerships between equals, strategic partnerships between equals, including skill developments, vocational training, exchange in education and science, bring together the young people, the students. So we are not limited in our thoughts. We think it's an opportunity, and my main message is Africa is a continent full of opportunities, and this is what I say here in South Africa, but be sure I will tell this our people at home in Germany and in the European Union.
South Africa is an integral part of the continent of Africa. We are Africans. Secondly, we are guided by our foreign policy that believes that we can only have a better South Africa in a continent that's better, that's secure, that's democratic, that respects international law. So that's why we talk of a better South Africa, is in short by a better Africa and a better world. So yes, preventive diplomacy, intervening when there are situations of strife, when we are called upon to do that, we will always be there. We'll never say no. Because 19 years ago, South Africa wouldn't be celebrating or would not have had 1994 if Africans at large would have thought that which was happening in this country, apartheid, was a South African problem. We struggled for freedom in this country for 300 years. We had the unequivocal support of all African nations because we are African, but also of the international community, including activists in your own country. So, yes, wherever there is a need for us to contribute to a peaceful, secure, democratic, developmental Africa, South Africa will be there. We will be guided by the constitution of this country, by the foreign policy of this country, but also by what our regional institutions ask of us to do, that is SADC, the AU, but also because we are members of the UN family. On the other direct question, if we are called upon to intervene again in the Central African Republic, what will be South Africa's answer? We will follow all that which I've said earlier on, responding to the question raised by the developed reporter, to the same answer I offer to SABC. The Central African Republic Prime Minister paid a courtesy call to our president to just, one, pay condolences directly now, which they've already done, by the way, during that period, on the fall of Bangui. But now they've done so on South African soil. The challenges of peace and security and stability in Central African Republic have not been entirely resolved. Yes, there is an interim government. President Zuma has been invited again to a regional meeting of ECOWAS in Brazzaville as a guest of the ECOWAS, as we now say, where do we take this country to after the formation of the interim government? If they were to have a request like this, we will follow the normal channels of bilateral, of regional, of continental calling, and also that which will continue to be supported, if it's supported also by the UN. Even when we intervened to train soldiers in the Central African Republic, it was with full knowledge of ECOWAS, of the AU, and also of the UN.
Of course, we are concerned about the security situation in the Central African Republic and the humanitarian situation. And it was one of our most important discussions what we had about the regional situation here in Africa and in the region around Africa. So I can only welcome the compass of my colleague Maite NkoanaMashabane, African solutions for African problems. Germany and the European Union, the international community, may be supportive, and we are ready to support. But the African countries, they sit on the driver's seat.
Africa is indeed rising, and we encourage investments, German investments, into the continent, so that you grow with us, because your business people, the 10+ companies that you brought with you here, also see opportunities for their companies in this Africa that is rising. Yes, Africa is on a massive infrastructure build, which will help unlock the potential of our continent through this infrastructure build to weave the tapestry that is the economies of the 1 billion people, but also accelerate intra-trade for goods and services from each other's country, but also German goods and everywhere else can only move faster if we've got better infrastructure. But there's also money to be made by your companies as you invest. So we welcome this. During our meeting, we also committed to supporting South Africa's National Development Plan, and that you also see opportunities in this vision and this plan that South Africans have adopted. We welcome the support from your good self and from friends like you. Thank you. Thank you, Chef.